A while back, I had a session with a client who was in one of the hardest parts of the twin flame journey, separation after recognition of the connection. And she shared a great gift with us. She asked every question that everyone always asks. The answers shared with her in this recording are a summary of channeled guidance received by my spirit guides about the twin flame journey over the course of the last several years. Listen for what validates your intuition. Know that everything that is true isn't going to be true for everyone all of the time at the same exact time. Please keep your comments kind and compassionate. And if you feel the need to leave a comment, do so with the knowledge that people will read these comments in the months and years to come. If you would like to leave a link to a helpful resource, you're welcome to do so, including your own links. Again, I ask you to remain kind and compassionate in your offering of insight, sharing of your experience, or recommendation of services.
So, sort of the sort of big areas that I'd like to look at would be kind of about my purpose, really. Like, first of all, as if I am a divine feminine, what is my purpose? And then what is the purpose of our union? Are we able to kind of discover that with you or explore that a little bit? And then, of course, there's sort of the fear that what happens if he doesn't come into, we never come into reunion? Is there a way to still honor the mission separately? And, do all twins reunite? Is that the point, that they are supposed to reunite? And what happens if they don't? And what happens to the light work, really?
Yeah. So, a couple of things. Let's just kind of start with some kind of contextual basis around what I've been shown as a student of life purpose for about the last decade or more, and even more so, around twin flame work once this kind of came online. There are many people who would disagree with what I'm about to tell you. I will tell you that my guides speak from the highest source of love and light around this work when they speak to me. But what they have shared with me is very simple. And it's that if we were waiting on human beings to get to a particular location or be with a particular person or have a particular 9-to-5 job to do a particular purpose, we'd be holding our breaths and the planet would die. It's just impossible to have that level of control over beings that were created with free will. So your free will and your twins, we live on a planet of both fate and free will will always be the trump card.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a real gift. That means you're free. And so is your twin. Neither one of you is chained or bound or enslaved by the connection or by a particular manifestation of your life purpose. This isn't a caste system or some other sort of forced work plan. So your purpose is something that can be done regardless of what you're doing for work and whether or not your twin ever shows up. Now, for sure, it morphs, it mutates. There is a different type of expression should you two decide to work together. But working together in the 3D world isn't required in order for your light work to take hold or take shape. For many twins, their light work is frequency based as opposed to place of work based. And what that ends up meaning is that the vibration and frequency that you carry gets transmitted whether your conscious mind intends for it to be transmitted or not. It is simply a nature of your very being. It's a function of who you are. Just like a teapot is a teapot is a teapot, it will always be able to hold things inside of it. It doesn't matter if you put dirt inside of it and then flowers, or if you prefer to put pasta inside of it and boil, or if you prefer to boil water to make tea. That teapot will always hold and carry. That's its purpose. Your purpose works very much the same regardless of what your passion is for expressing it. Do you follow me so far? Okay, cool. So it supersedes and transcends your twin's arrival or not, certainly enhanced by you feeling in a state of fulfillment and love, of course, but you're not unable to do your work without them there. That's myth, and it's myth that's built on the old paradigm of entrapment and enslavement and codependency.
Mm-hmm.
Actual love comes with freedom. It lives without conditions. And thereby, so does your light work as a twin, because it is love based.
So then how, if one is feeling completely heartbroken and unable to really even feel any feelings of lightness at all, how do you end up doing work? I mean, I guess that's,
You don't.
you don't end up.
No.
So I'm like,
No.
I'm not going to fulfill the mission because I can't even feel any feelings apart from like, it's not fear, it's deep, deep sadness.
I
Like,
understand. And this is a step, it's a stage. There's mourning to be done. It may feel like this moment will never complete, but it will. You won't be here forever. I promise you that. Furthermore, um, the other thing to know is that just because you're heartbroken um, doesn't mean you can't or won't work. People lose a parent, a child, a significant other. And after the bereavement period is over, they go through the motions, but they're back at work.
mm,
Okay. And simultaneously, there is a bereavement period, and there is a reason for that. You're not supposed to work during that. That's self-abuse
okay.
to have that level of expectation.
Because I could go, okay, I understand what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm feeling so ashamed that I can't. I keep apologizing to them.
Yeah.
I can't do it yet, and that's,
Just stop with the self-abuse.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And look for where you're doing that to yourself and other areas of your life as well. Not just around this, but where, oh, I don't have the money saved, so I can't do this thing. And then that means, you know, there's something to be sorry for. There's not. One of the gifts of divine love, and this will come for you in time, you'll integrate this in time, but one of the great gifts is recognizing that neither you nor them are doing this wrong. That too is part of the old paradigm of pejorative thinking that prevents you from actually stepping into light, where you're constantly looking to be doing it somehow righter or better than you are. Yeah. Because the actual vibration beneath that is one of guilt and shame. And when you're vibrating at that frequency, it's very difficult to maintain frequencies of love. And some of what's going on here is meant to help you break that once and for all in your life. But it'll happen in stages, bits at a time, as you come into recognition that neither you or your twin is doing this wrong.
They look like they have it easy though.
They don't. They don't. So here's the other thing, and you'll find this more. I'm just going to cursorily run by it now for you, but there's like a 20-minute video that I detailed that there's just two different plans here. You know, one twin's work is about kind of intuiting and knowing the journey, high priestess card style. The other twin's work is getting in the trenches and working with the tools, magician card style.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, the transmutational work does involve full embodiment of some of the darker patterns around love and relationship on planet Earth, becoming them so that they can be overcome.
Yeah.
There's no way to leave a vibrational breadcrumb trail for the others in your soul circle if there's no one actually becoming it and then overcoming it. The reason the Hebrews, listened to Jesus is because Jesus was a Hebrew, just like them. He didn't come from some other place and tell them what to do. He was them. It's not easy to witness that, to watch it. Just know that you have very other work to be doing, and know they're not just skipping off into the sunset. Their choices have blowback because they are held to a much higher standard internally. And they find their way to it. So the two videos on the channel you want to look for that helps explain a lot of this.
Watched all of your videos and I know
Oh, okay. So then you know.
I've gorged myself on them. They're my comfort. I was like, she's gonna make everything make sense. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I do. I've devoured all of them.
I don't know if I've made everything made sense. I've certainly opened up some truth that may have a lot of resonance, but doesn't answer a lot of your pain. And I just want to acknowledge that there's the true comfort. There are healers who offer comfort when we're in this level of pain that I recommend. Um, the first one that I think would be very helpful for you, her name is Lana, medicine woman healer. She's on YouTube, and that's literally her YouTube name, Lana, Lana, medicine woman healer. um,
Yeah, for sure.
and she just has this, she does distance work healing for twin flames, um, and separate divine feminine and divine masculine. But the places where you're, um, you know, because when you go through this kind of break with your twin, there's so much invalidation that occurs that there can be cracks in our auric field and, um, you know, chinks in the tether, you know, they get cut, um, like a little bit of like chinks or knots in our armor a little bit. And so a lot of the work that Lana does can help re-smooth and refill those cuts in our aura, and take those pieces of our etheric cording and smooth them back into our grounding cord, and resituate us. and the frequency of love. And so, and she does beautiful, beautiful, beautiful jobs at this. She has a beautiful service. And she also has the capacity to do this for both you and your twin, so that you both can be in a better space while you're moving through this particular stage of the journey for you. So I recommend healing sessions with her. A good, do them as often as you feel you need. Um, and I would start there. There are other twins who do different types of healing work that I think could be resonant for you at a different stage. But I think right now there's just so much heartbreak, that I think that's probably going to be the best place to start. And then over time, you'll get called in to do other stuff, other types of healing. And as your capacity expands, as this sits differently in your heart, you will find that you are capable of doing other work.
You know how you end up with energetic cords with old lovers, and there's a lot of cord cutting rituals. And I was with a shaman the other day, and there was definitely some hooks left over from a karmic ex who showed up recently, and we cleared that. But she said that there were nice cords between my twin and I, and would I like to get rid of them nonetheless? And I said that I didn't, but maybe I should, in order just to feel that I don't know, I've got to feel like I've got to move on from him, because I've heard mixed things. There are some people that say, if I try to go on and have a normal relationship with another man and just try and forget this twin, that there's going to be a tower moment and I'm going to cause myself more grief in the long run, because the twins are supposed to be together. And yet I kind of think, but I'm 43 and a half. I want to have a family, and I'd like it to be with the twin, but what happens if he never comes? Are you supposed to live a life of celibacy and just hold the light for the twin and, be that person? I don't want to be that person. And so I kind of feel that, am I supposed to cut these cords and release this twin? I'm not even sure that's actually necessarily possible with a twin anyway. Feels like sort of wishful thinking. But I kind of just, just in my headspace, I'm trying to think, how am I going to cope with this continued separation without losing my mind?
Yeah. Well, a few things, Ashley. You are going to lose your mind, and that will be a good thing, because with it goes all of the falsehoods and beliefs that created so much of the pain that you're experiencing now. Um, our pain really does come to us as a mirror for the ways in which we believed false things to be true about love. And so here's the other thing. The real deal is that your twin may not come through in the physical world in this lifetime. That's just a reality. I don't believe that all twins must and are meant to be together in the physical world. There are some, twins who do the transmutational work who get so caught in the matrix, by, faulty patterns in thinking and behavior and eating that cause dysfunctions in the brain where they can't step out of the way that they abuse or a way that they hurt other people. And that's a circumstance under which it's not realistic for two people to be together, label or no label. The label doesn't dictate a destiny, nor is it a permission slip or an instruction manual. It's simply that, a label. The other 90% of this is coming into the actual highest vibrational behavioral patterns around love and what it actually is. Highest vibrational behavioral patterns. But for us to be those behaviors, we actually have to go through these places of purging our old thinking and our old belief systems. They have to go. So you are going to lose your mind, but it is going to be better for you than you thought. Okay, so that's piece one. Piece two.
Yay. Okay.
This is a celebration moment for sure. The piece two is that, I mentioned this and I grazed past it, but love is freedom. Love doesn't compel or force another to be a certain way or do certain things. It doesn't require that for you to feel love. Now, relationships have conditions, and they should, because we live in the density realm. If we lived in some other realm, I would be happy to co-sign relationships can be without conditions. But, but we live in a conditional realm, so our relating also needs to have conditions in order for it to be productive and sacred. But love, no, you're going to love this man or this woman regardless of the conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a good thing, that love can be condition free. This is going to show you the truth of how to be loving, the person who is next for you. Because the reality is, should you live a monastic life now? No. Should you cut those cords? No. I will tell you from personal experience, the shit made me suicidal. Please don't do that. I do not recommend cutting your cords with your twin. It takes a long time to get them reconnected.
Okay.
Your instinct is absolutely right. There are some cords, like from parent to child, that should not be cut.
Okay.
And with your twin, absolutely don't. No, I don't recommend that. But you will learn to live and love in the separation. It'll be a new understanding of love and a new understanding of life. It won't be diminished, it won't be less, but it will be different because it will be part of your new belief system. The old one did have to die. It wasn't for your highest good.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. And so, can you be with, absolutely. Should you 100% be with someone else? When it's time.
There are moments that happen. Yeah.
No, not any more or less than you would have with your twin. That's again, old paradigm, enslavement and entrapment paradigm. Love is freedom. When you are truly loved, like when you think about a way a parent really loves a child, yes, they want that child's safety, but more than anything, they want that child to be the fullest expression of love. Now, I know it may be hard to imagine at this moment, but I know a part of you loves your twin so much that you want their happiness, whether it lies with you or with someone else.
Yeah.
And a part of them knows the true nature of love well enough to want that for you. They don't want a half-life for you. So this will take time. This heartbreak is different than others. You can't force this heartbreak to be over with a cord cutting. You can't force yourself to move on with sex. You can't fake your way over it by getting involved with someone else. These are not going to be possible for you after knowing the true nature of love, because it would be too much of a self-betrayal at this point, and you've been too put back together in wholeness via loving your twin to be able to lie to yourself and split yourself from the truth, and therefore from yourself ever again. You're not going to be able to fake this one. So this is going to take time in a different way. You'll know when you're ready to love again, because your heart just will. You won't be able to control it.
And it's one of my questions. Do you have any coping strategies for getting over this? I mean, I love it that we've got a healer, so that's definitely
Yeah.
um,
I mean, I'll be really honest. When I've been through these pockets of my journey with my twin, it was all I could do to keep my head above water. I cried and I slept, and I
yeah.
checked my phone a million times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I got, let's just say, my life savings in readings.
I mean, I've sort of said I've got to cut myself off the tarot, the collective tarot readings,
Oh
because
gosh.
I've got to
If you're
stop.
do if you're doing collective tarot, that's at least financially more healthy for yourself than private readings. Despite how maniacal they can drive one and how completely batty you can become, wondering if every storyline is yours.
No.
Yeah. You'll cut yourself when you're ready. One of the things that I did around that was I prayed a lot for divine intervention, and for it to be gentle. Like, please don't let me lose my home
Yeah.
running down this, financial hole, chasing things unknown from people who are promising they can reveal it.
Yeah.
God, I prayed a lot for revelation and release from that addiction, but that was how I got through it. Um, I ate what I could eat, I just made sure I was fed and showered, and I slept and I cried a lot. I found twin flame friends that I could talk to about what guidance was coming through for me, um, so that I felt less alone and less crazy. Um, and that released a large piece of the burden. Um,
I think the real craziness for me is that I feel like I've made this all up to somehow justify that there's meaning to it. There are some cynics out there that will just say that this is just an excuse for abusive behavior and it's toxic, but it's people who have really dysfunctional attachment styles that cling and cling and cling. And I think I was seeking so much for some proof of it. And when you've got I mean, fortunately, my twin is actually quite open. He's like, oh, these are really crazy stories and they're interesting. And I think he recognizes there is something possibly in it. But I mean, how do I feel this? There are moments where I think I've gone nuts and I've been spending too much time on myself and reading these things on the internet and watching too much YouTube to, I think, make myself feel better.
yeah, you're not.
Well, we all are.
Well, what's true and what's real is that you had a very profound experience of love, and that isn't a lie. Now, whether this is your twin or an ascension partner or something different, I don't know. But that this love was real, check. Life changing, check. changing to the way you look and see love in the future? Check. Was this the point? 100%.
Yeah.
And whatever happens beyond that, we leave it to the divine. And let's just assume, this is your twin.
Yeah.
There is a higher self standing that is you and him together as one, that being that is guiding this. And one of my favorite things that Dove said in the Twins in Union panel 1,
Yeah.
I remember when she said, I trust her more than I trust me. I trust that higher self that's guiding this. And the parts of this that have been magic and beautiful and wonderful, she's the one that guided me to those. And so I'm trusting whatever it is that she has in store for me next, even if it includes this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, one of the things that we can, the patterns that we're here to, rewrite is that seeking of the external validation
Yeah.
around this, which is one of the reasons why my guides have told me do not go down a rabbit hole of telling people who's a twin and who's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve their divinity to do that. They need part of our divinity, in addition to all of our divine gifts of healing and spirit communication and animal communication, etc., on down the list. Part of our divine gifts is a direct connection to the divine about our lives.
Yeah.
And your only job is to enable that for people, support their intuition, support their divine knowing. And so, for you, to the degree that you can, look for the things that you know for sure are true and build a baseline for yourself around that, because it will be steadying to your mind while the rest of this stuff changes. And the baselines are, was this a really big, profound love different than anything else? Yes, it was. Did it permanently change you? Yes, it did. Will it also be able to inform every other love relationship you have from here forward, platonic, romantic, and familial? 100%. And that's enough in terms of what's true to be going on with for this place that you're in today with deep heartbreak. That's enough truth for today. Let that higher self change the other aspects of your life now. Let the other things start to fall away.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. This is not an easy moment. I'm really sorry. It's so hard. I remember being in this moment myself and being so broken by it that I remember being on my knees next to the side of my bed, doubled over in heartbreak pain, and just beseeching God. I said, I love this man. Please make it so that he never has to feel the amount of pain that I am feeling as a result of his choices.
That's what I said too.
Yeah. And I remember in that moment of pain too, saying, whatever I did to deserve this, because that was back at the time I still thought I was deserving this and paying off some kind of karma. I remember saying, whatever the soul contract was, whatever I did to him in a past life, I now declare it complete. It is over. This pain, I I will not revisit this upon him. I declare this complete and I allow him to walk free in total forgiveness. We are done with this cycle once and for all. And that was some of the beginning of my ascension as a twin, was just speaking those words and knowing that, you know, the love compelled me to something much higher than anything I'd ever wanted for someone I'd loved before and anything I ever wanted for myself. It was far beyond what was happening and what would happen or not in this lifetime. Like, because that heartbreak was so big, I knew it wasn't just from this lifetime. And I also knew that I just did not want this carried forward in any other lifetime after this. Like, whatever it is, we're done. We're not doing this again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You've asked such beautiful questions.
Am I really?
Yeah, they're the questions that everyone wants to know and that everyone asks when they are in their purest of heart. And I can tell you're in a very pure heart space at this time. It's extremely pure.
You know, I was thinking it would be so much better to be angry, because angry, there's kind of like mojo and, you know, you have some force behind it, but there's no anger. You know, I kind of thought that I'd be angry for being, you know, basically ghosted for months. And I was wondering how it is that when reunions happen, how these feminines receive their twins, and you know, do they not want to bring up the old resentments of you should have done this, and I don't know if I can trust you again, and doesn't all the 3D resentment come into the five, you know, and tarnish the 5D generosity of spirit, really. I mean, I hope that I would have done enough work not to care about any of that and that it's not important. But as you said, the 3D relationship does need to have conditions, otherwise it can turn, you know, self-defeating or abusive or self-betraying even. And to check that he's done the work as well.
Check that he's done the work, but it'll be informed by love in a very different way. That that conversation when the time comes. When the time comes, that conversation, it will have a very different tone. It'll come from a very different place, and it'll be about different things, because of the way love has healed you in time.
Yeah.
And it'll be, the things that you'll want to know and need to know at that point in time are very different than the things your soul feels it has a right to know now. And that's just a reflection of our evolution and where we're at. And as you heal and learn new things about love and yourself and life, um, you're going to find that there are different things that you need to know from a 3D perspective. And needing to know those things doesn't tarnish the work that was done on the 5D, not in the least. In fact, it'll be your 5D self that is informing your 3D self about what to ask, why to ask it, and how to ask it in such a way that enables, them to feel very seen and very deeply connected, and enables even more of your own compassion. But the place that you're in right now, this particular leg of the journey, this particular leg doesn't have that tool in the toolbox for you yet. This particular leg is about finding compassion for you, and it has that tool in the toolbox, and you're about to learn how to use that one. Make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know what else to really say to you.
You're asking wonderful questions. Like I said, I'm very impressed. It's very rare I get to speak to someone who's so in such a pure state, who's not trying to outthink their way through their heartbreak. It's just like, yeah, I can see you're in it. You're wrestling with it.
Yeah, your voice is so comforting though. I mean, I joined your Alison Armstrong suggested course, and she did say, I think in one of the videos, that you've got this beautiful voice, and you really do.
Oh, thank you. You think my voice has special light codes for comfort? Wait till you hear Lana's voice. She's exquisite. She's who I go to when my own voice can't help me.
Is there anything, I've been hearing sort of mixed things again of like sort of how to support the twin, and of course the message I keep saying, hearing for me is, well, just do you, do you and focus on me. But I was sort of wondering if I've been kind of doing all the inner child work and the abandonment issues and the rejection and the womb healing and attachment disorders. And so kind of like just ticking off the list of like sort of all this excavation that I'm doing. But is there something that you would recommend to, I don't know, hold the torch for him?
You're doing it already.
Not to send him your DM insights for 2020. Like, I guess you have a reason that he needs to come to it himself, or that these things aren't very good to be imposed upon another.
It's because that action comes out of a seeking of validation.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. If that's information they need, source will bring it to them. In no uncertain terms. I remember reading for a woman who was telling me that she wrote a particular book on twin flames under a pen name. And not only did her twin find it, so did her soulmate that she divorced after she met her twin. Neither one of them even knew she was writing a book.
Amazing.
Yeah, source will stick it in their face so they can't miss it. And you've already given him the language that he would need to be able to do his own research. I mean, I'm down the rabbit hole. My channel's not particularly large, but I mean, it'll come up in the algorithm if he's looking. Now, that aside, you are doing the thing that's required at this point in time because vibrationally you're tethered. You're one entity. And so as you rise in frequency and vibrationally, and as you heal and as you evolve, it's going to shift the way things feel in that higher self that's just one being between you. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, what was shared gave you access to more compassion for yourself, freed you of guilt or shame about where you may be on this journey at this time, and frees your heart to allow your beloved counterpart to experience their lessons in the way that's aligned and designed for them at present.